Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. From 120% staff turnover annually to just 14% in 7 months. If you want to know how to do this, you must listen to this incredible episode. Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio, episode 179, featuring Crystal and Ricardo Romero. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. This is a good one. This is a not to be missed episode with a powerhouse couple, Crystal and Ricardo from New Mexico. Not only do they have 3 amazing locations working on their 4th, they have many other side businesses as well. These are 2 amazing entrepreneurs, an incredible husband-wife team, and they reduced their staff turnover by 10x in 7 months. And this is your how-to episode. Get locked and loaded for this one. It's an important one, and it's game-changing. I am over the moon about this episode with regard to what Crystal and Ricardo share in their culture building, in their intentionality, and so many things that are incredible about their brand. They figured out a way to bring and onboard teachers in a loving, high culture environment, in a school of excellence. Their classrooms refer to their children as scholars and master scholars. So it's a highly academic program. Parents are loving it. And they have master teachers in all the different levels of age groups that your new employees can learn from and get into a peer mentorship program with your master teacher. So that's just one nugget you're going to hear on this episode for how they did it, how they 10x'd their staff retention in just 7 months. An incredible, incredible story of success. We also talk about some inspirational content that Ricardo listens to get him fired up to show up as something his wife refers to as a man's man in the world of early childhood education. Being able to show up and being cool with your masculinity in this environment, in this industry, is something that we haven't really heard a lot about in this podcast. So I love that. And talking about how they do it as a husband-wife team, a little bit differently than some. They still share over dinner regarding talking about work, but it works for them, and they are inspired by each other. They fill each other's cup, and they walk into their school high-fiving all of their teammates as incredible leaders who just show up in a way that really reflects the values and the vision mission that they want their team to execute. And so that's a little bit of what you're going to hear in this podcast coming up. I also want to share with you that my team has been very busy selling summit tickets. We are excited for the Childcare Success Summit 2024 in Chicago, Illinois, in mid-October. We can't wait to welcome you there. And if you still haven't gotten your tickets, they are starting to get snapped up. We are now in our summer phase of ticket sales, and the ballroom is starting to get full. So you definitely want to go to childcaresuccesssummit.com and secure your tickets before we sell out. We always sell out, typically in the August, early September timeframe. So you've got a little time, but I wouldn't wait because the prices are just going to keep going up as we get closer and closer to sold out status. So for the best deal, definitely pop on over to childcaresuccesssummit.com right now and reserve your tickets. And you can still, if something happens with your schedule and you need to cancel and not be able to come, you still have until, I think, mid-August. So there's really no risk to you to go ahead and secure your tickets now. And then they're fully refundable 60 days out of the meeting. And besides, it's not just a meeting, it's a life-changing conference. And if you've never been, you owe it to yourself just to pop over and watch some of the videos of what the attendees are saying. If you go to childcaresuccesssummit.com and click on reviews, I think you'll get a really good sense of what goes on. I was just watching Maria Aaron's video talking about how her life changed, completely transformed. She was in a dark place and she attended the summit and her world completely changed. So she actually has been featured on this podcast. She has Paper Planes Early Learning Centers and she's amazing. So I'm so grateful that she shared her story and it will inspire others and inspire you. So definitely go check that out. If you're struggling right now in your childcare business, if you feel alone, if you feel like you don't have anybody to share your challenges with, if you feel like you've been trying to fix the things that are broken in your business and you keep beating your head against the wall and you don't have proven success tips, this is definitely something that you're going to want to attend. It will change your life. And I guarantee that. We actually have a guarantee as well that attend the first day of the summit. And if you don't experience everything that you desired and more, if we don't blow your socks off by the end of day one, we will give you a full refund on your ticket purchase as well as some spending money to offset your travel. So definitely go to childcaresuccesssummit.com and secure your tickets. All right, let's, without any further ado, go into this incredible episode here on the podcast and meet Crystal and Ricardo Romero, episode 179, Childcare Rockstar Radio. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast. I am very excited to welcome in my guests today, Crystal and Ricardo Romero. How are you two?
We are fantastic. We're excited. Truly just thrilled to have this opportunity just to share with you today.
Excellent. Well, I was inspired after a conversation that we had at our last quarterly mastermind in DC. We had some lunch together and you guys were sharing some wins with me. And so I wanted to bring you into the podcast. Where are you guys right now?
We're here in our office at our central campus, which is our largest campus, but we have our office, kind of our suite upstairs. So we snuck away and we are here.
Yeah, it seems very calm and quiet. So you must be away from all of the childcare activity.
Honestly, we have to be, because otherwise, if you're in it, you won't get any work done.
Exactly.
So our office is completely like disassociated from the school itself.
Yeah.
Upstairs have a great little quiet spot, a nice lobby. We're like an upstairs, like what would you say, like a
kind of
like a
corporate
loft
suite, yeah.
that we have up here. It's great.
Nice. Love that. Love that. So tell us more. What is the name of your program? And I don't think you said geographically where you're at. So just tell us more about the logistics of your school, size, capacity. Give us the stats. And where are you physically?
So we own New Mexico Early Learning Academy. We have multi-sites across Albuquerque and the East Mountains. Currently now we're looking at even expanding throughout New Mexico.
Wow.
So our first site is located in the Northeast Heights of Albuquerque. It's licensed for about 140. We have close to 160 enrolled, just based on full-time, part-time. We're at full capacity over there. Then we have our Tejeras campus, which is up in the East Mountains. We opened that school May of last year. That is at full capacity right now.
Wow.
And we're in the process of opening 7 new classrooms and indoor playground next month. And the good news is all those classrooms are already at full capacity. And they're just waiting for us to open our doors and get it licensed.
Right.
And we already have all those classrooms completely filled. And currently now we're sitting at our central campus, which is our largest facility. We opened this program August of last year. This one's licensed for right under 300.
Ooh.
Large program. And we currently have close to right about 200 enrolled at this facility. So we've
Awesome.
only been open here, 8 months.
8 months.
Right.
Or so. And we are on track. We're growing like every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our eyes on other parts of New Mexico, Los Lunas, New Mexico, Las Cruces, Espanola, and we're excited with where we're headed. We have close, little over 100 employees and
Okay.
about 600 children that are enrolled within all of our campuses.
Awesome. Love that. Very, very cool. I love how full you guys are, and we're going to talk about enrollment strategies and kind of where you were and where you are today, and you're growing, you're expanding, and you have an amazing success story. So I love it. Husband wife team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How did you guys get into the world of early childhood education? Tell us more about your journey.
Go ahead.
Our stories are very, very different because I really grew up in this field. My mom had childcare centers and home-based programs, and I was introduced at an early age. So I've been doing this for about 25 years. Originally was part of my family and then moved out completely on my own and went independent in the middle of COVID. Okay, so
Yeah.
year 2020, I decided to completely go independent, had no idea what was in store. And we opened our very first school September of 2020. Ricardo jumped on board with me kind of.
Hold on, she's leaving out the best part. So through this, kind of her going out on her own, we were just starting to date. So I can remember I had texted her and I was like, "Hey, want to grab dinner tonight? Go do something?" She's like, "Sure, sure. Come by my new school. We'll just be here for 10, 15 minutes. You can meet the girls, whatever." Cool, it's fun. Hanging out. I'm like dressed to go to dinner, right? And she's like,
Right.
"Oh, just real quick. Let's work on this classroom." 4.5 hours later,
No.
gonna pick up Taco Bell or something. We were just on our hands and knees
Oh my
scrubbing floor
God.
in the first school. And at that point, it's like, okay, I think we're gonna be an okay partnership. We can, skip the dinner formality and stuff. But you know,
Wow.
I think that
So
was like initiation is what it
yeah, I
was.
mean, Crystal, that was like you really put him to the test. You must have known right at that moment, like this guy is a keeper.
yeah, she was slick for sure.
I love that. Well, at least you didn't have to spend so much for dinner because you got to skate away with Taco Bell. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So, and then you didn't work in the business with her, Ricardo, for a period of time, right? Like you just came in more recently. Talk more about that.
Right. I think it's been going on about 2 years
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And
Okay.
before that, I had my own business. We still have that business. But every so often she'd kind of say, "Hey, what do you think about doing this together?" kind of thing. And I was like, absolutely not. I was built to raise our children. That's kind of it.
Right.
And one day, it was a parlay of craziness. I had a tough day with my company, and I know your San Francisco mastermind was coming up. And she's like, "Well, just come with me. It'll be fun."
We'll get a
And
vacation. It'll be
right.
cool.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that we were gonna be learning for, 8, 9 hours a day. And I think when we
Yeah.
left San Francisco, I think we talked on the plane a little bit, and then, we kinda just, mapped out what it would look like for us to do this together and kinda just, if we're gonna do it,
Right.
and fast forward pretty much.
Yeah. Well, that was a great meeting. That was a Hotel Nico luxury
Yeah,
hotel. You
yeah.
guys, that's a good start. So, how long have you guys been married?
So we will be married 4 years in just a couple of months.
Okay.
And literally, we spend every single moment together. We shared the same space in our office.
Uh-huh.
We both share space. Obviously, we work together. Every business meeting is typically together. I would say we spend about 90%, maybe more,
Yeah.
of our time together.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, Kris, it works really, really well. We've heard people tell us, like, there's no
Mhm.
way I could do that. Like, we need our separate space. And for us, I think we thrive off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy that we just have to be able to make decisions and bounce stuff off of each other, I think has really been one of the key indicators on why we've been so successful.
Mm.
Like, granted, we got married later in life. Ricardo had never been married. We got married in our 40s. And at that point, we kind of just knew what we wanted in life. And there was no BS, no nonsense. And we were able just to really lay it out there what our expectations were and communicate that clearly. with each other. And then it rolled into our business and the way we wanted to see that grow and move forward. And from there on, like, it hasn't slowed down. It's
Right.
really been on the fast track of what we've been doing professionally. And even though we were pretty strong, independent by ourselves with our own businesses, I tell Ricardo every day, there's absolutely no way we could have accomplished where we're at today if we didn't have each other. Like,
Right.
our duo, what we have as a couple, is what makes us dynamic in our business and our personal life.
Very cool. Well, this is a huge success story. I'm loving this. So tell us a little bit more about life at home. I'm assuming that you guys are raising kids. Tell me more. What do you like to do in your spare time? What do you like? What are your interests or hobbies or anything that you want to share with the
So
listeners?
everything we do, we, whether it's business or personal, we're super intentional about it. So, when on our free time, we love to travel, and we're happy when you plan events in Florida because we can take a cruise for a week or two right after. It,
Nice.
it all flows. So we're intentional about our breaks,
Uh-huh.
where we kind of disconnect, but at the same time, we make sure to never totally disconnect.
Right.
We if we go on vacation, we kind of, just check out the vibe and the culture of the companies that we go and visit, whether it's a Disney park, Universal, a cruise line, whatever it is, we're
Yeah.
just super intentional to take away stuff that we bring back. Part of the goal setting conversation that we had with you in Florida, was it Florida? I don't know, it was somewhere fun.
Somewhere.
Um, Stemmed from a Virgin cruise that we did. We just got on there and everybody loved working there. So, we took that same intentionality and pushed that to our childcare center or to
Hmm.
our childcare businesses. And it's been awesome. So, I love my wife. She's my best friend and my travel partner and my confidant. But at the same time, it's awesome that we have this connection where I don't have to tell her, hey, before I tell you how cool at work is, here's the backstory. We can talk in real time about things that are happening, and it just makes things a lot easier to share, and it makes life a lot easier to share, honestly.
And
Right.
ultimately, like, our personal life and our professional life is blended. Like, we have 3 girls, we have a blended family. Our oldest is 25, we have a 21 and an 8-year-old. Our 2 oldest girls work for us. So they're part of the company, they're part of the legacy of where, who'll be carrying our business, after we decide not to be as involved.
Yeah.
Our 8-year-old right now is in our summer program downstairs. So it's great because they're a part of what we're doing day in and day out.
Hmm.
I can't necessarily say we have a separation of this is home life and this is work life.
Right.
It's just our life.
Hmm.
Everything blends together and they're a part of the process just as much as we are.
I love that. That's very, very cool. I really love what you said, Ricardo, about the intentionality. As an entrepreneur, I'm constantly, when I'm traveling, looking at other types of businesses and what I find to be wow experiences, outside the box experiences, cool processes, things that I'm experiencing as a consumer, because you can absolutely take those things and put them into your business.
Right.
So that's totally a best practice. Many business owners don't do it. They just completely disconnect. They take their business lens off, but you're keeping it on just a little bit to pull that back into your business and continue to make it better. So I absolutely love that. That's definitely a writer downer for the folks listening. So,
Definitely.
talk a little bit about what is a fun fact about yourself that hardly anybody knows about you. It's time for you guys to get super vulnerable, or maybe just something silly.
Well, recently I had a home office at home,
Hmm.
great space, and we recently just turned it into like a designer shoe closet,
Really?
like sneakers, like high-end sneakers.
Uh huh.
I'll be honest, my heel days are over. But high-end sneakers and bags, and it is a fabulous space. We recently probably became collectors without even realizing that's what was
Right.
happening.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was kind of my payback to her, for initiating me into the childcare thing. I kind of tested her out. I was like, "Hey, I really like these shoes. They're a couple $100. Oh, you should get them." So the next week, "Hey, well, these ones are maybe $1,000." She's like, "Oh, you should get them." And I was like, really, this lady's incredible. And we lucked out at a Kane Brown concert. She saw his shoes. She's like, I need those shoes. And I was like, Crystal, you understand those are probably $2,000 shoes.
Uh,
They're the original Jordans. She's like, I need them. So I went and bought them that day. We were like, we are buying these shoes. And, I was able to trick her into becoming a shoe collector. So
nice. I see some pictures of shoes behind you,
Yeah.
Ricardo.
yeah,
Nice. Love it. That's very, very cool. If you ever need to liquidate your shoes and your handbags, if you get into tough times, you've got a
We got a
really,
friend.
yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
Very cool. So let's talk about, I know a big question on people's minds based on the success that you've had in your fast growth and your full enrollment across these multiple sites. And then this third site has only been open 8 months and you've already got 200 kids in there. Amazing. Talk a little bit about what you do to have grown and stay full. What are some of your best practices or just some tips and tricks that you can share with the listeners?
Okay. So what I'm going to say here has nothing to do because you're on the podcast. I would tell anybody I would come in contact with that they said, what was your secret? And it's truly like we do everything the Academy has taught us. Every single tool we've been given. Granted, like I had been doing this for over 20 years before I became a part of the Academy. And I really thought, I know what I'm doing. Like I had all the tools.
Right.
And lo and behold, once we joined the Academy, I realized how much I didn't know. And for us in particular, even Ricardo had kind of been telling me a little bit about CRMs and how he used it with his business before. And I was like, we do that. But, hearing it from the Academy and hearing all the tools that you provided us from everything from what GYC does, having a great CRM available to you, making sure that we reach out to families instantly and we have an enrollment specialist in play. All of those have been key indicators in ensuring that we keep that funnel constantly flowing from the time we capture a lead and to when we close them. Like we use your phone scripts, we use the tours. Like we don't deviate from anything because we've seen that the process works flawlessly. And I think that was a key takeaway for me personally. And even as I talk to some of my colleagues, like don't reinvent the wheel, like use these systems that have been created for you and apply it. And you have to be consistent.
Right.
Because if you go halfway or you're like, well, maybe I'll try GYC a little bit, but not this because I don't know if I want to invest, like you're doing it all wrong.
Right.
You truly have to just go like that blind faith and leap in and see what those possibilities are.
Right.
And for us, it has paid back tenfold, if not more.
Yeah.
And for us, individually, one of the things that we focus on is we realize there's no real barriers to entry of our industry. You anybody can start operating out of their home or go buy a building, rent a building and start doing what we do.
That's right.
So we're very intentional of the experience that people have in our centers. We don't call our children kiddos or guppies or anything. They're scholars. They're junior scholars, master scholars are going to graduate this Friday from pre-K. Our teachers aren't daycare providers or babysitters. They're teachers, and they're degreed professionals. And every family, every single day, like this is my biggest thing. Like this is the only time I watch the cameras is I want to see that every family has the Disneyland experience when they walk through our doors. All our schools purposely smell the same. All of our colors in every building are purposely the same because we want our families to come here and be like, oh, this is cool. And that way we do buy the benefit of the doubt when inevitably, Junior gets bitten or gets smacked or whatever it is. It's easy to talk about it with the family because we have that relationship.
Right.
So that for us, that's crucial. We don't just take care of your kids for a while. Like we're gonna show them a great time while they learn.
Yep. I love that. So in your enrollment processes, in your branding, and in your customer experience and the relationship, like you're intentionally addressing and doing best practice in each of those areas so you can be the school of choice in New Mexico.
Right. It
Like that?
honestly sounds like very elementary because people are like, really? Like, that's all you're doing? But I think many times I've seen from people within the industry, you forget the basics
Yeah.
of just acknowledging people by their name upon
Hmm.
arrival and departure, like spending some moments with them and
Yep.
develop solid relationships.
Hmm.
We always talk about the difference between McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. Very different customer experience.
Yes.
And we want the same with our programs. So
Hmm.
that is something we instill with all of our staff. Like, are you greeting them at the door? Or are you having them wait at the door? Just little things that really help set you apart.
Hmm.
We want to make that experience phenomenal.
So let's now, and thank you for saying all of that. And the thing is, too, it's not just basic, it's basics, but also there's nuances. Like there's definitely some advanced, more sophisticated things that you guys are doing as well, inside of that. So, one of the things that I think people really struggle with in this business is taking their vision for what they want and then actually inspiring their team to execute the vision, right? So, tell more about how you hire and how you onboard people to that expectation. Because obviously, when they come in and they start working for you for the beginning, you're doing some amazing things to get them bought into the vision of the brand. So, talk more about any specifics with that process.
Yeah, well, I'll back up a little bit because I want to say what it was like before the academy, and then some practices we put into play to really help us
Okay,
like
great.
be successful. So before the academy, we put an ad out on Facebook or someone would apply. And because we're like a ratio driven industry, we have to get bodies in the building. Like that's where we're at
That's
sometimes.
it. Hmm.
And we would put them through orientation and we always did an orientation. It'll last, 2 hours. You're sitting and we're conversing back and forth. Here's our handbook. Go read it when you get a chance. And you're going to go shadow so and so for a day or two. If you were lucky, honestly, but there's a good chance that you're probably in numbers immediately within your first couple of days. Like it
Right.
was just, you were thrown in the deep end and expected to swim like a pro.
Hmm.
And ultimately it wasn't that we just didn't want to do better. We're just like, how can we? Like we're just trying to keep our head above water. Again, remembering that we opened in the middle of COVID. So like all of the pull for high employees was minimum.
Yeah.
And fast forwarding to getting all the tools that we received from the academy about how to properly train somebody, how to properly orientate someone. And I was like, golly, this is like time intensive. Like,
Right.
can we really do this? And like I said earlier, we just decided that everything you've taught us, we're going to follow it to the T. Even though in my mind, I'm like, is that realistic? Like, programs aren't really doing that. And we changed our whole onboarding, even from our process. Because before it was like one interview and we would hire them on the spot. Like,
Right.
okay, we have a good feeling. Can we do your background check right now? And now it takes longer. We have at least 2 interviews that they're a part of with different teams. And we go through the process. We're checking references and really checking deep into their history. And then once they're actually given an offer letter that they've been chosen to be on our team, they still go through a whole set of orientation, but then we've turned their orientation more into there's a workbook that has like a scavenger hunt and
It's
it makes it fun.
it's very engaging, and it forces people who might be a little bit shy or just nervous in new situations. It forces them out of their shell. We actually have, I think, 8 people downstairs right now going through orientation, and later this afternoon they'll come up here, and during their scavenger hunt they have to take a selfie with one of the owners. So it's not because we love being in pictures, it's because
Right.
we want them to feel comfortable saying hello if they see us in the hallway or in the classroom.
Yeah.
Again, it's that experience. You can
Hmm.
always walk up to Mickey Mouse at Disneyland and get a high five, no doubt about it. So
Right.
just intentionality, and through that orientation process and the new hire process, we won't count them in numbers no matter how short staffed we are while they're being trained. They
Okay.
follow what we call a group of master teachers. So if you're a pre-K teacher, you follow the pre-K master teacher at your campus.
Oh, cool.
And you do that for the first week. And then the second week, the master teacher will shadow you.
Yeah.
And that way, there's plenty of opportunities for, real time learning, things that you can't necessarily just talk about. And what we've noticed, along with a few other things, is that's helped us close our back door. We check in with them at 14 days, 30 days, 60, 90, 6 months, and a year.
Well, let us give you the stat of what our turnover rate was. Okay.
Yes.
And it's alarming, but we're here just to be totally transparent and say this is raw data.
Okay.
Being in it. So
our annual year-over-year turnover was about 120% when we started tracking it. So we
Wow.
were turning over an entire staff every year.
Right.
It was
Wow.
kids and 2 other employees that had been here more than a year. And when we decided to be intentional about it and the way that, we interact with people, that we talk to people and just be mindful of everything, we're at about a 14% turnover now. And
Wow.
this is in about 7 months that we've gone.
Wow. That's insane. So this is some of the conversation we were having in lunch in Florida, and you guys shared some of these, but the stats weren't this. I mean, I don't remember these stats. I'm sure that, you were just telling me like the flavor of what you've accomplished, and I was blown away. And this is even blowing me away even more. I'm like, oh my God, like these
Well, it was
numbers are
embarrassing, honestly, to say that number. Like no one wants to say that first number.
right.
Like we're
But
like,
the thing is, like that, so many people still have that. So many people are at 100% turnover. So I get it that you felt kind of ashamed and embarrassed, but you're helping so many people right now in this podcast by sharing that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, one of the things that I picked up along the way, I listened to crazy amounts of stuff, and what I learned was a simple thing. It just says intentional goals make for incredible outcomes. So we made sure that every goal we set in place is trackable, is attainable, and we can, manage it as we're working towards it.
Mm-hmm.
right. Because what we had to do in order to be really intentional about lowering that turnover rate,
Mm-hmm.
it had to be one of our goals that we had as a school. We developed 3 goals, and one of them was to reduce turnover from this percentage to this percentage. And our entire admin team had to be bought in and be on board
Yeah.
because they were part of it too. It wasn't just Ricardo and I. Like if it was us, forget it. It wouldn't have been successful,
Yeah.
because we don't interact with the staff every single day.
Yep.
To show them the value of if we actually reduce this, what the benefits are in the long run. So we have all heard of SMART goals. We had to really lay that out and be very, very clear about where we were headed and why.
Mm-hmm.
And we discussed it every single week. Like every Friday, we were tracking this goal and seeing where we're at. And if we noticed an employee was a little off, like on their own route there,
Yeah.
we talked about a game plan, what we were going to do to bring them back in. How are we going to support? What do they need? If someone needed an adjustment of schedule, because before we would be like, oh, you can't do these hours. It's okay. Well, maybe you need to go somewhere else.
Right.
Now the conversation's very different. We talk about maybe moving them to part-time, adjusting their hours. Can you be a substitute at least? What can we do to help you versus it being all or nothing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think as owners, we get caught in that mindset of like, this is my program, this is my school, these are our rules, but not realizing that at the end of the day, we need these people. And there's a lot of give and take that has to happen.
Right. I love that. So did you have a like quarterly SMART goal where you were like, all right, well, we're currently at 120% and you got your leadership team, your admin team in the room, and you were like, what's a achievable goal 90 days from now? What are we shooting for? Like, did you chunk it down like that? Like, tell us how about, because to go from 120 to 14, it's not like you just threw it out there.
We're very intentional. Like we break it down to stupid. If that means that 120 people are leaving, that means that 10 are going. 120%. That means roughly 10 people are leaving every month. Let's get that down to 8 in a month. Then let's get that down to 6. Then let's get that down to 4. Okay, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
We set an enrollment goal and we did the same thing. We're like, okay, we want to be fully enrolled, and I know the directors and some of the other admin looked at us. They're like, that's 500 children. We're like, yeah, but over 6 months, that's 40 a month. So it's
Right.
1.5 a day. So if you're doing 3 tours a day, nail one of them.
Right.
You're gonna get there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to do that, it just
Yep.
becomes more attainable
Yep.
and more feasible. And we also attach to it some life-changing goals for our admin team. So at the time, it was us and 6 other people in the admin team. So we laid out a bonus pool of $30,000. And, for anybody, that's a ton of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a lot of vacations, that's a lot of bags, that's a lot of whatever you wanna spend it on. And, it just became part of our culture. It's part of what we talked about every single day. And another thing is we made sure that the goals somehow aligned with our 5 core values.
Right.
And if that way everything we do, is part of growing the business and again creating that experience. We want our employees to have that Disneyland experience.
Right.
I love going through and just like high-fiving teachers for no reason. You know, I have this theory, and Crystal mocks me, but I really truly believe you can't high five somebody without smiling. So I test it every day
Yeah.
with 100 people if I can.
Nice.
And we've just been able to be more intentional. I
Yeah.
guess that's our word.
Yeah.
We check in with Google Docs every at 14 days and at 60 days they get a survey. Hey, how's it going? What might you need? What do you love? What could we do better?
Right.
And just that way people can communicate with us freely and it's easy. It becomes second nature.
Well, I'll tell you this too. Even this past weekend, we hosted a pre-K retreat for our entire pre-K staff. We actually invited Coach Jay to come be one of our guest speakers for our staff and some of our leadership team. It was a 2-day retreat, Friday and Saturday. We put them up at one of the nicest hotels here in Albuquerque, so like a little staycation with them.
Nice. Yeah.
Brought in some speakers, did some phenomenal training, recapped last year, talked about some of our wins, planned out the coming year. That evening, we had some events planned for them. Then on Saturday, did some more training, but then we ended it with the shopping spree over at Lakeshore. We took all of our staff there. I called ahead. They planned for us. They welcomed us. They had signs, events ready for our team. And some of them had never even been inside the Lakeshore store here in Albuquerque.
Wow. Cool.
And they were blown away with that experience. And they were like, do we have a budget? Is there, I said, have fun. Go and have fun, buy whatever you want for your classrooms. And Ricardo and I just sat at the sidelines and we were just blown away to see the excitement. And it was just so contagious. But we had to be intentional about what the activities were, what type of culture are we developing, how are we getting them to take ownership too, that this is a company they want to be a part of for years to come.
Right. Yeah. We can't expect our teachers and our leadership to take ownership of their classrooms and of their schools if it's just a bunch of stuff that we're throwing at them. So the teachers were able to build their own classroom for next school year. What we have one teacher that likes doing an economy type thing. So he bought a bunch of coins for his kids. He's got a little bank. He's got a whole little deal.
Cool. That's cool.
Animal-based stuff. It's just super neat that they were able to put their personality into it. So now I'm super confident that those teachers will be around and not be part of that 14% this year.
Yeah, for sure. Because they're so connected now to you and to their classrooms, and they were able to, enrich their classrooms with an unlimited budget, and that experience is going to stick with them for a long, long time. So I love that so much. I was texting with Jamarian, and she texted me that she happened to be in New Mexico at that moment that I was chatting with her. I had a feeling she was at your school or at your program. That's really, really cool that you guys do that. So, and I think a lot of our Academy members do these retreats, these training retreats with their team members. And, I think that's one thing that sets our tribe apart is that we're doing best in class training and leadership retreats and teacher retreats and experiences for the teachers it enriches their experience so much as an employee. And so many owners don't do that. If you look at our industry, when I started 15 years ago coaching, like hardly anybody was taking their staff on retreats. and then pouring into them. Like you're pouring all of this professional development into them. And so they can't help but thrive, and they're going to stay with you long term because you're making that investment in them. So I love that.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Let's talk about you mentioned about being in this partnership together. Have you had any struggles? Because I know you do paint a very rosy picture, being the husband-wife team. You do take work home, you talk about it in the evenings, you figure out how to make it a balance, and you make it a blend. But have you guys had any struggles? Maybe as you started getting going, maybe when Ricardo came to the business, you had to like figure out your path, but to talk more about that.
So easy answer is yes. Yes, we have struggles. Granted, thank God we're smart enough to not put it out there for everybody to know our struggles.
Right,
So
right.
we're able to deal with it between the two of us, but we do. I think it would be odd if we didn't, because our personalities are very different. Our likes and dislikes are very, very different. But at the end of the day, I think we both have understood, like, we're in this together.
Yeah.
And I think I just attribute it to us having our relationship later than life versus earlier, because we dealt with a lot of nonsense beforehand.
Yeah.
So what we have here is truly, truly valuable. Like we just had like a whole intense, what would you call it?
Meeting of the minds.
Just a couple of days ago, like in the truck. He was like, I just need you, just put your phone down. And I was like, it is down and yours is down too. And, and we had this intense moment with each other. And then I have to like be silent and I have to like gather my thoughts. And I'll tell you, Ricardo is so much better at apologizing than I am. He is quick to like want to just be over it and let's come back together.
Right.
Just have to like, it takes me a little bit longer. But I think at the end of the day, everything that we do, we have like, we don't hold back. Our communication is strong and solid. And we've learned too that when we do have our issues, we'll hash it out, but we hash it out with us. Like not in front of our kids, not in front of our workers, not in front. It's just an agreement we both decided on. But I stress them out. I know I do, because I'm more of a risk taker and I want to many times just let's go all in. And it's you've learned to adjust.
Yeah.
To my
Like I'm more of the type, like I want to manipulate it to make sure that things will work. You know?
Right.
And it's not necessarily a long-term thing, but it's just I want to make sure that this makes sense. There's a pattern to this. And I think it's good because there are some things where I'm like, I want to improve 500 things in a day. And she's like, you know what, I got to get this pre-K grant out. This is what we're doing. Shut up. Like, and so it works. But, the main thing for us is we decided a long time ago that, this is going to work. It's the only way. We've got obviously other businesses, but this is this is the golden egg for us, basically.
Right.
So we take care of it, and we respect each other, value our business, value our time. And, like my dad used to tell us, like, there ain't nothing left to do but to do it, and we're not going to fail it's just not an option for us. So that being said, like our relationship is pretty simple.
Yeah.
There are fights, but I'm not going anywhere. She's not going anywhere. So, get over it because we got to go to work in 6 hours.
I love that. I love that, Crystal. You're more of the risk taker, the jump in, all in girl. And Ricardo's a little bit more of the even keel, or just let's make sure, let's look at all the variables. Let's make sure that this is going to really make sense. And so you guys balance each other that way. And that's great.
Even now we have a whiteboard in our office and he has all these numbers jotted out. And I'm like, it'll work. Like, don't you know us? Like, it'll work. Like, there's no other option. We're not going to fail. We might learn a few things along the way, but I'm like fully confident in our ability. And he has lots of charts.
he's analyzing and calculating and making sure.
Oh, to the penny.
Yeah, this is good. I like this. So what are your other businesses? I guess maybe I didn't know that you had other kinds of businesses.
So we also own a company called Abundant Design. It's
So it's a merchandise and graphics design company.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we started it out of necessity because we were sick and tired of, searching for vendors for uniforms and promo shirts for graduate. So we spent almost $100,000 and bought a business and
Nice.
started doing it. And now, we do actually a lot of work for a lot of other childcare centers. We do work actually for the University of New Mexico here. We're one of
Mm,
their official vendors. We have a couple of other international clients. So it's a pretty cool little business. Again, we've just all of our businesses we've started out of necessity.
Yeah.
There's a consulting business for childcare that we own called Early Childhood Solutions.
hmm
And so through that, we can do consulting, coaching, that kind of stuff for other businesses
And
here.
maybe like help programs become nationally accredited. Like I can run a program through accreditation and what to do
Right.
instantly. And we saw that as a need because when I was doing
Yes.
it, there was no one to help me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you do? And what is this form that they need? And I was like, if we're all on the same page together, we all win together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we have the benefits and insurance business that we have that Cardo has as well.
Okay.
And then we have the real estate side of it with our properties and multifamily residential and commercial properties. So,
Wow. Look at you
yeah.
guys. It's quite the empire you got going
Yeah,
there.
but other than that, we don't do anything at all.
Wow. I'm impressed. This is so cool. I want to just ask you about expansion. So you're looking at potential new locations. You mentioned a couple different places in New Mexico. Talk a little bit about your strategy with expansion. Take into what do you factor into your analysis when you're thinking about expanding? What are some, you know, practices that you do when you're looking at what could be the best opportunities out there? Just talk a little bit more about how you approach expansion.
I think for us, when we talk about expansion, the answer is always yes. We'll figure it out, and we do figure it out because we truly believe that we're the sauce, that's going to stir everything. But we're looking currently at a little town here outside of Albuquerque, and we're in that one, it's an established program. That Crystal's friends with the owner, so it's more of a relational expansion.
Mhm.
We want to respect her empire, we want to respect what she did, but at the same time, it has to make business sense for us. So we toured it, make sure that it's, in the buildings are nice, that they're maintained well, because that's part of our image. We make sure that, it's not a babysitting service, and that we're not going to jump in and have to backfill everything. So that's
Talk
important to
about
us.
Espanola. Like what made you?
Yeah, so I guess that's a value of our partnership too, is it makes us reach out for these big ridiculous things and we just ask for them. And God has blessed us a million times over, but I'm from a small town in northern New Mexico, and ever since I came on with her, I told her, I'll come on if we eventually agree to go to Poake or to Espanola. And she was like, yeah, man, like whatever, dude. You know. And we were on a cruise ship, and
No, we were in Clearwater after the
oh
Clearwater.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think we had went to the nighttime gathering. I think we had a few
Uh-huh.
margaritas,
Uh-huh.
and she's like, "Well, why don't you just ask them in Espanol if we can come?" And so, I'm like, "Okay." And in her mind, she's telling me, "Hey, go search for some real estate, go look for a building." So instead, I texted the mayor of Espanol and I said, "Hey, we want to come, and I need you to give us a building." And he was just like, "Excuse me, man." So we scheduled a meeting with him, and we went in there into his office with his economic advisor and everybody else, and
Mhm.
told him again, "We will make your city better.
Right.
We need you to go ahead and give us a building, pay to renovate it, pay for a playground, pay to furnish it, and we'll operate our business here for you. Like, we are blessing you, sir."
Right.
And long story short, right after we get off with you, we're headed up there to go look at 3 buildings that they want to give us. So
Nice.
it's basically going to be a multi-million dollar gift to us to operate a business in their town.
Wow. Now, do you guys have to create more of a nonprofit structure to be able to get that, or you're going to just stick with your existing for-profit business?
Well, I forgot to add this on too, now that you said that. So in addition to all of our businesses, we also did start a nonprofit
Okay.
organization.
Okay.
That's called Little Triumphs. And that was originally intended to have our therapists work for the nonprofit so we could provide services for children,
Oh, yeah.
because we realize that that is a high need right now. Like
Yeah.
behavior challenges, it's
Mm-hmm.
children with special needs it's continuing to grow. And
Mm-hmm.
we had too many children on a wait list. So we started that nonprofit to help with that. So that is right at the infancy stage. But what the beauty back to Espanola is, there's literally been able to like lease back for like $1.
Gotcha.
So we're able to work with some of the different clauses that we have versus private and public partnerships
Mm-hmm.
that are available to there. But when we look back to what you originally asked about expansion, I can't say there's this magic formula that it has to cross, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. It's more of what's going in and how can we make it better? If are they capitalizing on every bit of income that they could be bringing into a company? Most are not.
Right.
And it's again, talk about money on the table. My
Mm-hmm.
gosh, like most of these programs, we're talking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're not accounting for.
Right.
And if I could immediately go and look and be like, they don't have several systems in place. And if I know we put these systems in place, it's going to be a game changer. Sometimes that just makes sense for us.
Right.
That's right.
Usually we look for at least 100 for it to be what the capacity can be
Yep.
like.
100 capacity as a
Yeah.
minimum. Yep.
But for us, like I have no doubt, based on the systems we've learned and the processes to put in place, like it's like a plug and play. We have all of our SOPs now, and it's just go time.
Yeah.
Anybody can make this happen. Just follow the systems.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you guys have done. You've utilized all of the assets and the systems that we've given you in the academy. I'm super proud to have you in our community, and also was super proud to have you on my stage as a Childcare Rockstar finalist last October. You didn't technically win, but I think you're winning 110%. Hashtag winning. You guys are
Yeah.
winning in all the aspects of life. To me, you are childcare rock stars. And thank you so much for being on this podcast today.
Yeah, thank you. We love it. We love sharing our thoughts, and we will tell everybody, like, we're an open book. So what you see is what you get.
Yeah, I love it. Ricardo, I wanted to ask you specifically because you sound like a kind of guy that loves to continually sharpen your saw, to learn, to read, to listen to podcasts. Like you're always out there. So what are a couple of resources that you want to share? Do you have any specific books that have really like formed your philosophy as a business owner, or things that you follow, things that you listen to? I just wanted to ask you if you would
Sure.
share a couple of things with you.
Probably, the person that I, admire the most in the podcast space, his name is Ben Newman. And he's a coach, he's a mental health coach, mental strength coach. And
Okay.
he specializes in, high-end athletes. He does tons of NFL players, tons of league baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
And his core kind of value is finding that internal burn, the thing that makes you want to do whatever you do, and looking back, I probably 2-3 years ago, it was still COVID times, and he had asked me to speak. Well, his assistant asked me to speak at one of his webinars. And I remember I got the email and I told Chris, there's like, no way, I'm not doing that. Like, what are people going to learn from some dork from northern New Mexico, And looking back, shortly after that, he kind of blew up. He got a contract with Nick Saban at Alabama. And I was like, he's like all over the world now.
Right.
But I mean,
Wow.
that's probably the one person that I would recommend anybody that just is searching for what it is.
Yeah.
Just and it's a 10-minute podcast, like 3 times a week.
Okay.
So powerful.
Ben Newman. Do you know
him 'cause he's like a man's man.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's raw. Like Ricardo has me listen to stuff and I'm like, oh, like it's strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think having men in early childcare, like you need that masculinity too. Like we don't want them to be women. We don't want them to be us. They need to be
right.
who they are and who they've been created to be.
100%. Love that.
Yeah.
So Ben Newman, do you know the name of his podcast, or is it just the Ben Newman Show, or what is
It's
it?
called The Burn podcast.
Oh, The Burn. Okay,
Yep.
nice. Find your internal burn. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love, just recapping, I love your leadership. Both of you have different aspects of how you lead. You come in, you set the tone, you give high fives, you tell your employees that we want to keep you. We love you. We want to keep you. We don't want you to leave us, and you're giving them all of these professional development. I love the master scholars, master teachers. Like, that is just phenomenal. And that you're having them shadow with master teachers. And, so that whole essence of your brand is like top excellence, and that does relate to this podcast, because I can hear it in your voice, like this kind of this athletic, or this find your internal burn, this drive. And it shows up in your leadership. It shows up in how you guys show up in your school every day and in your marriage. So I'm inspired. Thanks so much for being with me today on the podcast. I'm sure that listeners and viewers will be very inspired. How can people find out more about you? How can they follow you, or when to give your website address, et cetera?
Yeah, so you could find us on social media. Both of us are on everything from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Ricardo Romero, Crystal Romero. Our website is nmearlylearningacademy.com. So, and then we're on every social media platform as well for the school and us personally. Ricardo's always talked about us doing our own little personal back and forth. Who knows? This might be the first, what you might have been the intro to what we may lead to in the future. But yeah, we're always here to help. We're always here to share.
Good.
And yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, and one of the places that I think is probably pretty cool to connect is Ben just started the men community on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. It's
good.
It's a fantastic idea. And any guys that are listening, like, chime in, man, because it is tough sometimes for us in this industry, because it's 95% women, and I'm used to industries that are 95% men. So there's a bunch of us, we're going through the same stuff. We don't need to be just the light bulb guy, or whatever else.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fantastic thing, and I think guys out there, everybody taking advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for giving that a plug. Coach Ben on my team, Ben Poswak, started the Men in Childcare Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. And I'm glad that you're getting value from that. I absolutely love the idea that he came up with it all on his own. He's just an amazing guy. You guys are incredible. Thanks so much for being here on the podcast today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This is a gem. This is definitely a good one. You're going to want to take notes, listen to it again, because repetitive learning is what leads you to success. And there's so many gems in this particular episode. You're going to need to listen to it a couple times to get it all. So thanks so much, Crystal and Ricardo. It's been just a joy to have you, and to have you in coaching with us. You're such an inspiration. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Kris.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, and God bless everybody. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. I hope you liked this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. If you did, please leave a review and share it with someone you know to help spread the word to friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, I've got a new video training that shows you how to add 6 figures or more of new revenue to your program in the next 60 days by improving your hiring and your enrollment systems. To watch my new video, just go to www.fixmyschool.com. That's fixmyschool.com. Thanks. Take care, and God bless.